Cool. Welcome to the Great Expectations October Community Meetup. We have a lot going on today. It's very exciting. First of all, I'll be going over community stats. Well, I'll be going over community celebrations along with Tal, who will then also be doing the product roadmap updates. And then we have two guest speakers. We have Lavanya with us today, who will be talking about giving a presentation on Great Expectations Unleashed in SaaS Studio, turbocharge your data analytics. And we'll hear from Miriam about generating synthetic data that meets expectations. And then with what time we have, we can leave some room for some questions. So without further ado, as always, we really want to give thanks and kudos to the community members who are in the discourse and in the Slack and are helping to answer questions of other users who are using Great Expectations and working together to solve problems. So this is a shout out to the people who are doing that. So thank you, all of you, Lori, Alexi, Alvaro, Ishwar, Mikash, Rick, Jerry, and Lucas. Thank you so much. And Tal, do you want to talk about some contribution highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. So wanted to highlight two contributions that came in. So thanks so much to Muad, who made a change to basically enable you to separate unexpected index lists from other unexpected values. So this is a pretty common request. You want to know which rows have failed from your expectation suite, from your expectation, but you don't want PII. You don't want to see, I don't know, the social security numbers or names of people in those failed rows. And so Muad added a parameter to enable you to separate those things to result format, which is fantastic. And thank you also to Calvin Jidu, who added a new expectation: expect multi-column values product equal to single column. So it basically looks at the product of several columns being multiplied, and it compares it to another column to ensure that they're equal. And it's awesome. They added this support for Pandas, Spark, and SQL Alchemy, which is really fantastic. It's really great when we see a user who adds for all of those. And yeah, I think that's it. Guess I'll jump right along to the product roadmap update. So on the open source side, we've been doing just a whole bunch of cleanup of the open source code base. We've had some deprecated code for a while that we've been deleting, which is really nice to see, and deprecating some stuff that should have been deprecated. And then one other change that's noteworthy: for file back projects, we've renamed the default directory from Great Expectations to GX. There would be occasional collisions between Great Expectations, the package, and Great Expectations, the directory. And so this avoids that moving forward. I don't think any changes are necessary. If you're running, you can keep running, but if you initialize a new project, then you'll see that. On the cloud side, we've released the data asset overview page with column descriptive metrics, which is really exciting, and also released the missingness assistant, getting that to work not just in open source, but also in cloud. And coming up soon, we're bringing splitting and batching to cloud, expectation history, and also the ability to create expectation suites from the cloud UI. So that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tal. And now I will be handing this off to Lavanya. Lavanya, would you, you'll be sharing your screen, right? I will.
Yes, if you can.
I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, and let me see if I can share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good morning, good evening, everybody, and good afternoon to me. I'm on the East Coast. So hello, everybody. My name is Lavanya Ganesh, and I work for SaaS Institute. And my demo today is about how we are using Great Expectations in a product called SaaS Studio. So we have wrapped up Great Expectations as a reusable custom step. And so a business user can easily build flows, what we call flows, in our product. And they don't need to know or write code. And by the way, Great Expectations is awesome. I love it. So with that, before I delve into the demo, I have just a few slides introducing our company and our product suite, or a couple of slides, and then we can delve right into the demo. Does that sound good? Cool. All right. And I work in the data management and the governance division in SAS. So SAS Institute, it's a global analytics software company, still privately held, and we offer advanced analytics, data management, and business intelligence solutions. We do specialize in AI, machine learning, and we serve a diverse set of industries. And moving on, our current offering is called SAS Via, which is, I'm going to be demoing the product that is part of this offering. And it's modern, cloud native, and analytics platform. It is business users can use it as well as programmers. And cloud native, we do integrate with Python, R, and other tools, and a lot of open source integration as well. We do provide tools for data preparation and wrangling, and that is my division, the products that belong to my division. We do have advanced analytics and machine learning capabilities as well. A fantastic tool to build reports, which is called visual analytics, and definitely still working on the security and governance aspect, and we keep building the suite and making it better and better for our customers. Of course, use cases across several industries. And this is a quick snapshot that I have. And my demo will be showcasing how we use develop code and flow product. And my division also owns the manage data, prepare data, and discovering information assets, which is using our catalog product. And moving on, this is how the flow looks. And this is sort of like where we are building what I call the custom step, and this calls the Python GX. And I think our version currently is 0.16.8. And based on what you all have on the product roadmap, looks like maybe we need the time for us to upgrade as well and to make use of all the enhanced capabilities that you all provide. And we are building the expectations and running the expectations on the data and doing a whole lot of data manipulation downstream and then building reports. All right, I think it's time for me to delve into my demo. Let me see if I can bring up. Cool. All right. So this is our product, like I mentioned, it's called SAS Studio. And this basically lets a business user create what we call flows to manipulate their data and apply all the data quality parameters and get it ready for downstream cleansing and analytics using our analytics products that we have. Okay, let's start by first, my demo is about showcasing how we built this flow and using GE, and then we run expectations against the YAML and then run through and build all those records, and then how do you manipulate all the good records and run downstream. All right, I'm gonna start by looking at our data. I have a daughter who just started in college and freshman, so all my entire last year was spent researching all about US and college application process. So if you want any additional free guidance, you can ping me later. I'm now an expert. So basically, this is the data that I wanted to work off of, and I got this from some tuition website. And basically, this is our data that we're trying to run through GX to generate rules. And I did partition it into some test and train data. And we have an import custom step again. So all of this is business user, business friendly. So you don't need to actually write code. And then here's where we're generating expectations. And this is what the custom step, what we call, looks like. So we're reading the data, and here's where we are using the Python to build your grade expectations rules. And I'm gonna run this. Live demos are scary, but if they work, that's wonderful. All right, it's going to generate the expectations, and right now I'm just showing it with the default values, and fantastic. And this is here's where you can see that we are storing the YAML. It's on our folder page here, and then allow you to download it. And it's in here. And this is all the default, all the work that the GX community has done. And I mean, this out of the box things are really good. So I'm going to go with that. And we're all familiar with this. And our next step is to take the test data that I have and then apply these expectations. Flow is getting a little wonky here. But then we're running the expectations. And in here, we're just pointing it to the same JSON file that we have, that we got from our previous step. I'm going to run this. And here's where things are going to get interesting is we actually create what we call work tables in SAS Studio, and which will separate out the good records and the bad records and the exceptions and everything. And then let me make sure. And then we take the good records and run it through our own additional custom steps for data quality. I'm doing some standardization and filtering out rows and columns, removing some missing values. And then what I do is I rerun the expectations to make sure that there are no exceptions in there. And then, of course, I have some diversity data for college, and I'm doing some joins in here and generating my output data that I can further consume in building my reports or running it through our modeling. So let's take a quick look at what are expectations that get generated, exceptions in here, and how we are actually showcasing this. So this is how the exceptions are, and you can see in here that the column names are not the state code, two codes that we have. And we are running our standardization algorithm to fix that from the bad records. And it lists all the records. So we do provide a preview to our customers on what those records are and what they can do about it. And we already know the good records in here. And similar preview for all the output data that the GX generates. So once the data runs through this process, we are in this flow, I'm rerunning it and then making sure that there are no exceptions. And then so the data is ready for downstream cleansing. And very quickly, I did build a report off of that data. Very simple data. I live in North Carolina, and this is how much the in-state tuition is and the out-of-state tuition. And you could categorize some interesting visuals in here based on the diversity data. And once the data is cleansed, it's much easier to build the reports and generate insights. And I think this is how we have implemented the GX custom steps in SAS Studio. And we also have a GitHub location. SAS has a GitHub location where we constantly enhance functionality by integrating with open source. The great expectations is in here. The generating the rule, generating the expectations, and running the expectations. And this is our repository that we use our proprietary data quality functionality as well as integration with open source. And this is available for our customers to consume this as it is or use this to build additional functionality and extend it out. And the last thing I wanted to show is our catalog product, which generates additional insights on, this one is additional metrics about the data and data quality metrics. This was the same data, but we can, once it's cleansed and built, we can generate other metadata measures and data quality metrics on that data. So that was our demo and usage in SAS Studio. And I think we would love ideas on how we could improve or enhance this in terms of GX, building expectations and applying them. So any help, any suggestions that you all have, definitely we're always welcome. What else do I have? What's next? We're trying to build a business rules management system. So it's a multi-provider system that allows the user to build rules, and the rules can come from GX and several other sources. And we have some legacy systems and rules as well. And of course, everybody is looking to do us some AI capabilities with building out automated data monitoring and observability. And I think that's it. So I just have a reference to our GitHub custom steps location and the documentation that you all have.
All right.
So
Thank you, Lavanya. I'm just going to take a moment and see if there's any questions specifically for Lavanya before we move on.
I have one, Lavanya. What are the expectations you're actually using? And then how did you go about choosing them and finding the ones you wanted?
So I think the main one is we kind of focused on the numeric data, the common ones that we have, like the unique values and the ones that we are generating from. And then I think our product manager probably gave us a list of the ones that they're looking at. And so based on the documentation that that he gave us.
Gotcha. Cool. Do you know if you're all building using custom expectations or are all the core ones?
The core ones, actually, right
core
now.
ones?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then for the metrics you showed at the towards the end, so those are not the data docs, right? They're something that you've built, you've computed based on the
our custom, yep, based on our algorithms, yep.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for showing us.
This is awesome.
All the demos worked. It's a good day.
Yeah, live demoing. Things can definitely go wrong. I'm just leaving one more pause to see if there's anything else before we move on.
I have another question. Do you collaborate with anyone else on this? What does your like team structure look like? And yeah, so you mentioned, right? So you have a product manager who kind of chooses the expectations. Yeah, who else? You know, where do the requirements come from? And then you know, do you work in a team that builds this pipeline? Yeah, talk to me about like the people you collaborate with.
Yeah, so we pretty much follow the regular structure. We have product managers, we have development managers, and the field, what we call the SEs and market leads. We look at things, and then we look at the market trends and figure out what kind of open source integration should we bring about, and then do a little bit of research on that front. Yes, and we have a set of developers, testers, the whole suite of R&D team.
Gotcha. Cool. And then the internal, so who are the actual consumers of the reports and the metrics?
They're our customers.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
External customers, yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much again. And thanks for all the great questions, Josh. Sorry?
Oh, no, I was saying I always have questions. Yeah.
That's great. So just sharing my screen for one moment in order to introduce the next talk. Happy to have Miriam here with us as well. We actually just collaborated recently on a blog post, so I'm sure I'll mention that. And I will then pass it on to you, Miriam.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen. Yeah. Okay, sure you can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Miriam Sant. I'm the data science advocate at YData, and today I'm here precisely to showcase this collaboration and discuss a little bit with you how the data-centric paradigm is shifting our attention to achieving high-quality data, and what part does synthetic data play in that. So getting data or generating data that meets our expectations. So as I'm sure you know, data quality is indeed what makes or breaks our AI and ML applications. And one important data quality issue that we normally find in real world domains is having imbalanced data. So imbalanced data is a situation where we may find a disproportion between class or category concepts, and that leads to biased machine learning outcomes because algorithms are traditionally focused better on more represented concepts. And data augmentation is really a way to bypass this issue and can offer several benefits across different verticals such as finance, healthcare, and retail. And so you see, simply by focusing on smart data preparation, we are seeing the main mantra of data-centric AI, right? So at YData, we created the first data-centric platform, which helps data scientists to go from raw data to actionable data. This is Fabric, which is a complete workbench for data science development and is split into three major dimensions. So one is data profiling that allows data teams to quickly assess and understand the data assets, the pipelines that can enable experimentation and model training at scale. And then we have the data improvements with we offer synthetic data to unlock data sharing, enable data privacy, and overcome these issues that I've been mentioning, such as the lack of data, class or category imbalance, and even bias and the representation, sorry. So synthetic data is essentially artificially generated data that will mimic the properties and behaviors of our real data, while ensuring that the data remains private because it does not include any identifiable information. And so how can we use this in a practical use case? The first step, as always, is ensuring data quality because we need to guarantee that the generated data makes sense and meets our business expectations. And this is where GX comes in. So our friends at Great Expectations have created this awesome framework that helps us have some control over the synthesis process. And for data scientists, that is absolutely essential. And the flow is really straightforward. You can start by examining your data characteristics, define your expectation suite, and then the process becomes rather iterative. You have the synthetic data being continuously improved until it meets the expectations that you need and the quality scores that are required. Fabric and GAGs are completely interoperable, so the entire flow can be orchestrated within our pipelines. In our case, the objective was to guarantee that a specific category, which was the machine operator inspector, is represented at least 10% of the data. And of course, our initial expectations over the real data failed, but with the synthetic data augmentation, we were able to overcome this category imbalance and generate the data that we needed for our machine learning application, so our downstream objective. And overall, the look and feel of the synthetic data flow is really intuitive. You start by analyzing your main characteristics of the data. That is what gives us a better understanding of what expectations probably need to be met. And then we can start by creating our synthesizers. We can choose which features we want to include in the process, and even when and how to leverage anonymization. The detection of PII is actually automatic during the data upload into our data catalog. And we can also choose the privacy levels. So in this case, we have set it for high fidelity to mimic very realistic data and enable the conditional sampling just to focus on the occupation feature where we are going to oversample that specific category. And once we are happy with the quality metrics, we can simply generate the new synthetic samples and validate them against our expectations. So as you see, the synthetic data matches what we have, the characteristics of the original data, and we are able to successfully augment this subgroup of interest. All in all, as I've said, we have showcased this use case in our collaborative blog post, so I encourage everyone to read it and try to replicate the flow. If you want, the Fabric community is free, so you can sign up and test the platform for yourself. And of course, if you are enthusiasts like me of the data-centric AI present, we love to have you at our community. We are actually getting ready for our next Codemy session happening next week. So it's a great moment for everyone to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm just gonna share the link to that blog in here. Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say that. Sure, thank you.
There we go. Yeah, so people can find that really easily. What questions do people have for Miriam?
Hello, Miriam. It's Josh with the questions again. In the beginning, you mentioned there's problems around like bias and fairness in your data. Yeah, talk to me more about like how white data addresses these questions. Like how do you think about, like, how do you define bias and fairness, and then how do you kind of try to approach it and solve that with white data?
Okay, so bias can come from a lot of different sources. And I guess since we are focused on the data, our main definition of bias comes from that underrepresentation of certain specific subgroups. This can happen, of course, with sensitive information, but overall, it also compromises your machine learning models if you are looking for a specific subgroup within your data. Imagining that you have a data set for healthcare, you are trying to predict breast cancer. And the majority of your women and that data set are white. So you have a very small representation of Black women. And that leads to the model focusing on specific subgroups of that are well-represented concepts in your data, and then you have a very minority concept that is very hard to learn and may generate biased predictions, right? So one thing that white data does to overcome this is to generate more data of a specific subgroup, in this case, the Black women with breast cancer, that augments that concept representation, which allows the classifier to not be super focused on the majority concepts, but have them equally represented and be able to generate more flexible and fair, in this way, predictions. So that's overall my goal.
Yeah, and then how do I tell I have when I've achieved that? Like, is there something from white data that helps me understand this, or are we looking to like put some expectations together? Like, I don't even know. Yes, right. Like, how do you even kind of approach this in the first place?
Yeah, so you are talking about on the end point, right? How do you evaluate if your model is better or worse? Is that it?
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, so I didn't consider that. So like, I was thinking once you have the data, you evaluate the data directly to see if there was any bias built into the data. But are you saying the way you can kind of tell is you actually train a model on it and then you evaluate the results of the model?
To this point, yes, because our synthetic data metrics are evaluating three main pillars, which are fidelity, privacy, and utility. And the utility a little bit goes towards that idea. So can you generate the same outcomes from synthetic data that you would with real data? But of course, if real data is biased, then your synthetic data will eventually overcome that. But anyways, we are a data preparation platform. So the end goal of machine learning you can do in our labs and with our pipelines, but it is not our main focus to go towards that model building. That is up to the data scientists. Our goal is to provide high quality data. That's it.
Gotcha. So does Fabric actually train and deploy the models, or is it just to generate the data?
Yeah, it's a platform focused on data centric. You can create your own models and you can deploy it, for instance, endpoints in Vertex AI and a lot of other platforms, but it's not the goal of the platform. The platform is focused on really detecting and improving your data imperfections and boost your ML through data improvement, essentially. That's on the data centric space.
Gotcha.
Not on the MLOps. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
As before, I'll just leave some pause to see if there's any other questions for Miriam. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Miriam.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have both you and Lavanya here to showcase some use cases. Community questions. We can give some space for community questions, and that can be about for anything you want to check in and ask the GX team. If you have any questions that you think about from the presentations, you could also bring those up. Just give a little space for that before we officially wrap up. Does anyone have any questions?
Actually, I have a question.
Cool.
How do you decide like the expectations that go into the package? Do you often get feedback? And specifically for the case of bias, which seems to be an issue of interest, are you planning on adding more of these type of metrics into your expectations? Because in the new advent of regulations and so on, it's probably a thing that most users will need for their applications.
That's a good question. Who's the best person to respond to that one?
I think I'll take a stab at it, and then Tall, if you're still here, I know it's late for you. You can help me out here.
Yeah, that's what I was
for
thinking.
longer.
Mhm.
Overall, I've been at GX now for almost a year, and a lot of our we're open source project. We're pretty community driven, so most of these come from the community. A lot of these ideas come from the community. If you look at the expectations, a lot of it are pretty kind of low level, like surround like data. Expect, right, like the specific data to be between certain values, or not have no values. We haven't really looked at like how specifically like we'll address a use case like bias or something like that. So you really have to take it was kind of why I was asking the question a little bit earlier, like how do you kind of decide, how do you measure something is biased? If data is biased or fair is, I think right now you have to be the one to kind of understand how you would actually break that into the expectations. But there's probably a longer history on how we started with the initial set of expectations. I don't know, Paul, you've been here longer than I have. Like, how do we kind of arrive at the set of like core expectations, and how the initial expectations come about?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. The original core expectations, I think, they've been here for a long time. But do you know we have a few like expectation packages that are around a given theme, and one of those packages is around ethical AI, but it's pretty sparse. I think there are just 2 expectations in there right now. It's definitely something that we would love more contributions for. I think right now we've gotten so many great contributions from the community that we've been really like looking at those and using that to help kind of steer which expectations are going to be added. And so that's what I would say. Like, if you have ideas for custom expectations around ethical AI, we would love contributions. That sounds like a great idea.
Thank you. I think it started at the level of the data itself, because there is always a specific task that you need to solve, or a specific use case. And sometimes what is data quality for one domain might not be necessarily for another. Sometimes it's just the data characteristics. It is difficult to define, I think, expectations to that level. You're doing a great work. I love it, XX.
That's great to hear. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Oh, go for it.
Sorry, just trying to figure out how to switch on my camera that you also can see me. In the meantime, I will explain my question. I'm working on Databricks and also on Azure ADLS. and I haven't figured out yet how to change the context of Great Expectations in a way that the data and the docs and also the YAML files and all the files are directly stored in the ADLS. Is that possible yet? I think I found here some mentions that the Great Expectations in conjunction with ADLS is currently not working because of the authentication problem.
I am not sure.
I'm not
about
sure
this
about
one.
the
Any bit of- oh, go ahead.
your GX project definitions. I do recall there was an issue with the ADLS, some sort of authentication pass through where where Azure, let's see, it's a security setting on Azure's end to where they only whitelist certain methods, and one of them that is used under the hood in GX is not on that, or sorry, allow list. I can look, yeah, I can look in GitHub. I'm not sure though about the context definition. That's where I don't know if that's something we'd expect to
Because you have
be
a
able to
parameter
store
in
on
the context
ADLS.
and where it says where you can store the files, so the docs and all the other artifacts, but I didn't find how to modify this pass. I didn't find a method. I just can get the JSON directly and try to modify the JSON with Python code. But I think I hope that this is not the solution.
Yeah,
Just at the end, I want to use Great Expectations in Databricks. There's also the quick start, which works perfectly fine. It's at least possible to execute everything in Databricks in Python. But at the end, the docs are stored in the DBFS in Databricks directly, and I want to store them in the ADLS directly, and didn't figure out how to do it.
If the answer is a little more complicated, would this be a good candidate to be posted into support? I'm just checking in to see if there's things we need to follow up on.
Yeah, I think this is probably a question that's just better solved with some offline investigation. Although correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, we don't officially support Azure Databricks though. So yeah,
good call out.
I doubt if we have. I don't think we have it, like you mentioned, Holger, any docs on storing the project definitions in ADLS versus DBFS, but it could be we have community members who have looked at this too. So yeah, I agree, Molly. This is probably to get wider attention. This is also a good candidate to post in community support, so we can take a look at it there.
And might I recommend? Oh, go ahead.
Or in Discourse?
I was just gonna say,
this is
or
a Discourse.
Great segue into reminding to post in Discourse. If you post in Discourse, then if other people have a similar problem later, they're going to be able to more easily find your answer in a search. So yeah, it would be great if you want to post that question in Discourse.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending this October community meetup. Thank you so much to Lavanya and to Miriam for coming on and joining us and presenting. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks again to all the community members that support support the community and are active in both community support and contributions. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll have another meetup next month and hopefully see you then.